This is the most important and crucial period of your lives, for what you do now and what you decide now at this age may well determine which way your life shall go. And the question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. And I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth. And always feel that your life has ultimate.
Thank you for tapping in. This is Brian HRap Williams once again. Thank you for tapping in. It is important that you do so. Hit that like, hit that share, tell a friend to tap in. Y'all know the drill. I'm multitasking because I was going to take the night off, but I heard something at the grocery store and I said, no, I'm not going to take the night off because what I heard was relatively ridiculous. And what I felt as if I needed to say something. That's why I call it, don't tempt the devil. Don't tempt the devil, because what we are doing at this point is tempting him with the ability to reign supreme. And who the devil I'm speaking of is the president. President of the United States is the devil that I'm speaking of. But as usual, I want to thank my parents, Dolores and John. Without Dolores and John, there would be no me. Without me, you'd be doing something else with your valuable time, and you already know what I want you to do. What do I want you to do? I want you to tap in at www.theendofthebench.com. If you're not watching this live, go to www.theendofthebench.com and check it out on my website. You can watch it live. I get the credit. Thank you for tapping in. Everybody who's doing it, you know, www.theendofthebench.com. Hit that like, hit that share. I'm going to give you a piece of history tonight, and you can watch it. It's in its entirety there. Y'all only do a few minutes of history because I want to entice you to go deep, dig deeper, and go deeper and go deeper. That's the point in the history lesson that I display. And I usually use Country Boy, but I'm just using a traditional website tonight. I want you to check it out. Go to www.theendofthebench.com. Watch it there. You can still comment. We can still interact, but I get credit because you visit my website. When you visit my website, it helps helps me stay in the algorithm. As long as I stay in the algorithm, it's worth doing. If it's worth doing, I'm gonna continue to drop the information that I deem worthy. Basically, you know the drill. I am here to assist you in making life better for your great-grandchildren's great-grandchildren. That's what we have to do. We can no longer work for our best interest. We need to be working in the better interest of our great-grandchildren's great-grandchildren. I say that every day because that's what I mean. I want us to do everything we can to make life better for, just like we are living on the prayers of our great-grandmothers and our great-great-grandmothers. We need to be extending that prayer. We need to extend that positive energy. We need to be praying to our deity and ensuring that we get the most out of this life that'll make the life better for the people who will follow us. Thank you again for tapping in. Let's get this show on the road. Thank you. Now, as I stated, I wasn't going to go on tonight, and all of a sudden I started saying, I overheard this conversation. It was about current President Donald J. Trump and him and his co-president Elon Musk, and because he came out and let you know his game plan. Now, before I get into that, as I'm saying this, understand every time this dude has said he's going to do something, he's done it. For whatever reason, you have a lot of working class people that follow this guy because we have been taught to worship that almighty dollar. And that almighty dollar is not worth a dime at this point. And especially if you're in chains, or the last time someone who was speaking like this, they destroyed a large portion of a nation of people. And you know who I'm speaking of. In World War II, we have the Jewish community. I think it was 6 million of those people attempted to be, they were annihilated. They were done away with. They were unalived. They were put in concentration camps. This guy is emulating Adolf Hitler at this point. And that's why I'm saying, don't tempt this dude. Do not allow him to believe that he has the power that he wants to have. He has the power that he thinks he has, and he has the ability to enact the things that he's doing. We, as the American populace, have been trained to stand around, complain, piss and moan. That's why when people come to this country, they look at us as lazy. They look at us as ingrates. They say, hey, you can't take advantage of these opportunities, because in other countries that hail the flag of democracy, those people are engaged. Those people do everything they can, and they study, they interact, and they learn the laws of the land so those laws can no longer be enacted against them. We here in America, we've been trained to complain. All we do is cry and moan and say what is and is not going to happen. The conversation at the grocery store that I overheard was, oh, Trump ain't gonna be able to do nothing because Obama gonna come back. Well, it was once famously said by this basketball coach, Larry Bird. He was talking about, he was coaching the Boston Celtics, and the Boston Celtic fans were complaining that he was still losing when they paying him to win. And his famous statement was, Larry Bird and Kevin McHale are not gonna walk through those doors. Well, I'm gonna say it, Barack Hussein Obama is not going to be the president again. He probably would never even run to do that. But what you are looking at is this guy is united with other dictators, much like one Adolf Hitler did, Benito Mussolini, the people in Japan and other places. And that guy tried to take over the world. This dude is doing the exact. We're going to annex Greenland. How are you just going to take over another country? By the way, wasn't we as a country complaining about Vladimir Putin doing the exact same thing? And he's in the midst of a war right now. And he's in the midst of a war. He's looking extremely weak right now. And what I want us to understand, even though we have a massive military, even though we are in the midst of chaotic governmental regime, what we need to do is understand that this dude is trying to cripple us and put us in a position so he can go down in history as the king of the United States of America. He told you this. He told you, I just want to be the dictator for a day. No one wants to be a dictator for a day. No one wants to be a king for a day. That's the equivalent. That's why when you ask that famous question, if you had one wish, what would you wish for? And what's the wish that people always wish for? 1,000 other wishes. No one wants to be president or dictator or the ruler of anything for one day, because there's no power in that. If you are a billionaire, why would you take a job that pays $200,000 that you have to pay for your food? See, that's the thing. You have to pay. When you leave the White House, you leave with a bill. Did you know that? You leave with a bill. So who's taking that job besides an egotistical megalomaniac? That's what he is. He's a megalomaniac. And what we have done is, because we thought, they'll never put me in chains. You know, just like that old Eddie Murphy jokes. Oh man, if I would have been a slave, well, at the rate we're gonna figure out what you would have done if you would have been a slave. Because anytime you can tear up the infrastructure or the socialistic infrastructure of the United States of America, you can fire 170,000 people. You can rewrite the medical treatments, rewrite the ability for the EPA, the IRS, and things of that nature to be in existence, and for checks and balances. And anytime someone holds his feet to the fire, he sends his minions out to attack them. You have a problem on your hands. And again, we cannot wait for 2028. We need to be, look, people in Florida, y'all got to elect. People in Wisconsin had an election tonight trying to determine who's going to be the Supreme Court justice. Why this dude is literally in front of us, violating federal law, buying votes. I'm gonna give you $1 million if you roll with me. Ha 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 hell. See, this is why we continue to be in these oppressive states, because we don't identify enemies, we don't identify enemy tactics, and we don't identify problems that are running directly at you. Because this guy was raised in apartheid field, South Africa. Of course, there are millions of people who lived in South Africa at that time who did not go along with the governmental standards of apartheid. But this guy, more than likely, is not one of them. Anytime you throw the Hitler salute, anytime you're doing everything you can to continue to oppress people, anytime you say the people on Social Security, not knowing how our government works, they are leeches and they are parasites. What you've said is, my mother who worked her entire life, my father who worked his entire life in the government, and he helped keep the infrastructure of America intact. They don't deserve to be taken care of for the rest of their lives. But see, you can say that when you have leashed and been a parasite off your parents, and you have millions upon millions of dollars on a company that you take credit for building that you did not build at all. You can say that when you're such a midget of a man, you're such an imp of a man that you have lipo surgery and you've had hair plants and you look like a cartoon character. You can do those things because you didn't work for anything. You didn't even work for the body that you walk around in. But we allow these people to do what they want to do. We don't complain to our state representatives. Do you understand that if you had 500 people, all of us know at least 100 people. All of us know at least 100, but do you understand if 500 of us called the switchboard at the United States at the House of Representatives, if we called a number at Congress and complained, this number right here, where's that number? Oops. Where's the number? I got the number somewhere on here. Even if you don't, download the 5 Calls app. If I can't find a number, download the 5 Calls app. You call that number, you complain. Download the 5. Let me put a comma right there. I'm gonna take a step back, and I want you to download the 5 Calls app because it is 5 calls that connect you to both your senators, potentially, if you want, your mayor, your governor, and a House of Representatives person. Those are people who can slow this dude down. But we don't do that. We just complain. This dude crazy. Well, guess what? Just imagine yourself back in the midst of World War II. This dude Adolf is crazy, and look what happened. Y'all don't think those things can happen, but those things are definitely in the midst of happening as we speak. We got let me see. I don't understand how they can continue to play in our face, and people are making excuses for their lies. Exactly. This is why I'm saying, this is why I use the terminology of the devil. Thank you, Courtney Singleton, for participating in the program. It is great to see you. Hit that like, hit that share, tell a friend, share the link, and subscribe if you haven't already. But this is what I'm telling you. This is why I refer to him as the devil, because the devil will tell you the truth. That's the wickedness of the devil. He will give you the honest God truth, and you will ignore it because it's the devil. That can never happen. Yes, it can. Because in order to combat anything, you must stand up and identify it being a problem. I always use the metaphor of a coal. What we are looking at is a coal right now. If you don't stand up and do something, and if you don't start saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to do it tomorrow, you're going to end up with pneumonia. You're going to end up with pneumonia, or you're going to end up with HIV. You're going to be HIV positive without. And why did I use the extreme measure of HIV? Because HIV is your immune system has broken down and can't fight off anything. So yeah, you'll be HIV positive. And the reason I use that, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but what I am trying to express to you is this is how dire this situation is. You need to start complaining. Oh, he's a Republican, so he's not going to listen. Yes, he is. He is a civil servant, a civil being short for civilian servant. Are you a citizen? These people are, let me put a comma right there. Civilian, citizen. Do you understand that these people are attempting to reverse the 14th Amendment and birthright citizenship? Meaning, if you're born here, you're automatically a citizen. But guess what? Your ancestors were brought here, and they will use that to get you exported out of the country. And if you don't think that's true, it is a white man who married a Latino woman in Wisconsin. He was a gung-ho Trumper. And guess what? They went to Costa Rica for their nuptial, not their nuptials, but for their honeymoon. Came back, and guess who got deported? His wife, because her green card had expired. Because he thought, because I'm a citizen, my wife, I'm married, and my wife is a citizen. OMG, your wife is no longer welcome. And you helped it. Sucks to be you, bucko. But even that guy can help us. What we have to do is stop talking, stop complaining, stop moaning and crying, and start going into action. Download the 5 Calls app. If you don't know what to say, start whatever you think about. Look, whether you want to complain about the Secretary of Defense, you want to complain about Ms. McMahon, the Secretary of Education, which is entirely moronic for a person with no academic. She used to be a substitute teacher, and according to her, I didn't realize you needed a certificate to teach. And these are the people who are running your government. But back to what I was saying in regards to the illness. Back to what I was saying. This illness is the literal equivalent of being stymied. Your ability to fight is being eroded away because we are allowing this to work, hoping that some Superman, super handsome guy, and his super black wife gonna come through, and he's gonna be a turkey and he's gonna have nothing else to say. No, civil servants. They are the servants of the civilians of the citizens of the United States of America. Again, stop allowing people to tell you who and what you can do. Because if enough of you, do you understand that you start a petition, 200,000 people, you can start a petition about, I don't like the potholes in my street. If you bring that to your House of Representatives for 200,000 people, they must address it on the floor. Guess what? These people are being reelected every 2 years. Guess what? Since you guys want to allow them to put 190,000 people in an unemployment line, guess what's going to happen? Guess what's going to happen? You're going to join them if you don't stop this. We continue to allow these people to do these things because we don't believe that they have the power to do it. An executive order to violate judges, a violation of the Constitution. Did you or did you not stand at the mall and swear to God that you were going to uphold the United States Constitution, which means this is an impeachable offense? Guess what? You need to be calling and complaining about those things. Let me see what Cody Stevens says. I have to give props to the residents of VA. They have been on the governor's neck. Thank you for being here from Virginia. Thank you, and convincing the Trump. Yes, that's all you have to do. But see, we keep expecting people. Oh, see, they ain't gonna do it because I'm black. What? Explain to me how the late great Dr. Martin Luther King worked his behind off and had the 1968 Housing Act kicked in, and then he had the 1968 Women's Rights Act kicked in. Then he had the 1965 Voters' Right. Then he had the 1964 Voters' Right, and 1965 the Civil Rights Act. How did that happen? You were in a worse situation then. See, this is my problem with our community and working class people from coast to coast, border to border. This is my problem. We know everything the rich people do. Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, Brad Pitt. We know everything. See, they need to. They're not, because this isn't their problem. This isn't their fight. And we know all about these kids are going crazy in Chicago. They're breaking into stuff. And guess what? It's only about 10% of them. And it's about 10% of the people that are super duper rich. Or you know what? I wouldn't even say it's 10%, because it's not even 10% of the population that participates in nefarious activity. It's not even that. That's not even the case. But guess what? We're going to say 5% of the population participate in nefarious activities. They are the dregs of humanity. They're doing this snatch and grabs. They're doing everything. They're raising hell. They're raising Cain. They're doing everything that they can to disrupt society. That's only like 5% of the people. It's only 2% of the people that are rich. We're talking about 7% of the population. That means 93% of us who are right there in the middle, kind of like the people who got B's and C's in school. I got a couple A's, but mostly B's and C's. That's the rest of us. We are the people who control the population. And guess what? If we stand up for the right, to quote the great Bob Marley, we can make changes, but we choose not to. We go along to get along. And guess what? You keep going along to get along, you're going to go along and get along in a cage. Or you're going to go along to get on in an oven. These people are wicked. These people are wicked. Anytime, how is it? I'm going to address white America. I rarely address white America on my program, but I know some of y'all listen, because I see a lot of people who listen in Switzerland. I see a lot of people listen in Australia. I see a lot of people listen in the UK. So guess what that means? That means a lot of our white brothers and sisters, y'all paying attention. Good looking out. But on the serious side, white America. One thing I noticed about white America, I noticed that being a patriot is a major issue in your community. Oh, I love America. I love America. So you will love America, but you're going to allow them to. I'm not even going to talk about what's going on in my community. You're going to allow him to disrespect the military. One of the big, hey, hello. I used to be in the Marines. I used to be in the. Thank you for your service. You got mad at Colin Kaepernick and had him kicked out of the NFL because he was told by a Green Beret, a respected military officer. Well, he was a sergeant, but same difference. Well, a sergeant won't tell you he's an officer, but that's neither here nor there. A respected military sergeant Told him, look, on the field, we kneel. Why don't you kneel? Nobody addresses that, but that's another conversation for another episode. And y'all wanted him run out the league. If you don't salute, you don't stand there, you don't sing the Pledge of Allegiance, you don't sing the national anthem, and you guys have an issue, but you allow this dude to disrespect one of the greatest men in the history of the United States of America government, John McCain. This dude was a POW and refused to leave Vietnam until you let his soldiers leave. He sat there for 3 years and got electrocuted. He died with scars on his body, and y'all let him disrespect him. You let him go to Arlington Cemetery where the rest of the fallen soldiers of the United States of America, they're buried there, and he taking pictures, violating the rules. But you think he has your best interest because, again, we've been trained to respect rich people and opulent people, and those people show us our behinds every day. That's why you get little tropes like, hey, never want to meet your hero. You know why you don't want to meet your hero? Because he's probably a rich dude who thinks he's entitled to things, and he's entitled to things, and then he's going to treat you like trash. Maybe, just maybe, when in 1989, I just getting out of school, took a job at Subway North Avenue in Chicago, Illinois, and I met John Cusack, and he used to leave that trash on that table every day, and I used to want to punch him in his face. He was a jerk, but he made some good moves. I ain't want to talk to him because I had to clean up behind him because I'm not Mr. Cusack, I'm Mr. Williams. So, Mr. John Cusack, you lucky I still watch your movies because it's 30 years later, I'm still mad at you about that. But understand, when these rich people, these affluent people, they're in our presence, the biggest song in the world is Kendrick Lamar. They're not like us. They're not like us. And these rich people are not like us. Not all of them, because the only thing that is exact is mathematics. So why would I say all of them? But by and large, these rich and powerful millionaires, billionaires, celebrities, and superstars, they ain't really caring about who the president is, because if things get real bad, they'll go to a place like the Netherlands, they'll go to Switzerland, they'll go to Australia, they'll go to Austria, where they think, and they'll even go to the continent, some of them, where things are safe. I have a cousin who's moved down to Colombia. Seriously. Salute to you, Scott. He lives in Colombia because he's like, it ain't working for him. And guess what? Most of us don't have that ability. That's why we need to be paying attention, and we need to infuse ourselves into the system. If you know who the Final Four is, who's in the Final Four, then you need to know what's going on in DC. That's all I'm saying. With that being said, y'all know what time it is. It is 24 minutes into the program. That means I'm 4 minutes late on the history portion of this, because I want you guys to understand history has been changed. History has been manipulated, and history will be not in your favor if you continue to listen to people who don't have your best interest in mind. Listen to this video. Y'all already know where you can find it. Where can you find it? You can find it here in its entirety. www.theendofthebench.com. You can watch it in its entirety. Any other shows for the last 90 days. I just did away with it. Most of the show, all of the shows are on YouTube and Apple Music and Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. But you can watch them on YouTube, or for the last 90 days, you can get February and March on theendofthebench.com. We're doing April right now. The ones from January, they're still on YouTube. I need you to check this out. It's a very interesting point of history. I will be back shortly. You know, I'm older than 50. I might have to pee, but I don't have to pee. But I just want you to watch this and listen to me. 2 fingers, 1 word. I'll be back shortly. This is HRap.
Ethiopia has proven to be a historical beacon, not only in Africa, but in the entire world, as many historians agree that this is one of the oldest countries in the world. The traditional ties of this country are still strong and unchanged, and as the rest of the world has evolved over the years, leaving their ancient history behind, Ethiopia did the opposite, upholding their culture. From the ancient Ge'ez language that dates back to the 4th century and has its own scripts, to the calendar, Ethiopia is indeed a unique country. The Ethiopian calendar has been in the spotlight for quite some time, but still, most of the world does not yet know that it uses its own version of the calendar, now known as the Ge'ez, or Ethiopic calendar, which is about 7 to 8 years behind. The rest of the world uses the Gregorian calendar, which was introduced in October 1582 by Pope Gregory XIII as a replacement for the Julian calendar. It later spread throughout the Roman Empire and beyond as Christianity spread, and influenced the design of almost all calendars elsewhere, as we can see today. As the Europeans were colonizing Africa, they brought forth the calendar, which is now widely used all over the continent, but due to Ethiopia's successful resistance to colonization, they were able to preserve their traditional calendar. The Ethiopian calendar has 12 months of 30 days each, with a 13th month that has 5 days, and 6 on a leap year which occurs after every 4 years. The difference of the 7 to 8 years between the Ethiopian and Gregorian calendars results from an alternative calculation in determining the date of the birth of Jesus. According to the Ethiopian calendar, Jesus was born in 7 BC, while the Gregorian one claims that Jesus was born in 1 AD, thus creating the 7-year and 8-month difference. The Gregorian calendar has been subject to criticism. In 2012, Pope Benedict XVI argued that the Christian calendar was based on miscalculation, and Jesus was born earlier than previously believed, sometime between 7 BC and 2 BC, meaning the Christian calendar based.
And you hear that? This is why. Do you understand? Do you understand why I showed y'all this? First and foremost, that according to the Ethiopians, the New Year's is September 11th. This is the oldest nation and the only nation that was not colonized on the continent. Why am I talking about this? How does that help me, HRap? You know how it helps you? It helps you look into something. Just let me step out on the limb, because this is what I always hear, man. I listen to your show and I like a lot of it, but I ain't agree with it. I ain't asked you to agree with anything. What I'm asking you to do is say, prove me wrong. See, when you do research, I don't do research to show you, see, I'm a smart guy. I'm HRap. I know everything. No, I look into things to make sure I'm wrong. And if I don't find myself being wrong, that's why when people go, man, you kind of arrogant, man. Who cares? So it sucks to be you. If you don't have the confidence I have, work on that, man. Pray, do something. But on the serious side, do you understand that Ethiopia is the only country that was not colonized on the continent of Africa? 53 nations, all 53 at some point. Some European country tried to take it over, and the Italians ran up in Ethiopia, and Haile Selassie and his crew and the rest of those Ethiopian brothers and sisters over there, by the way, they tried to hide Jesus in Ethiopia, which makes Jesus never mind. This is a nation that is intact with its original rules and stipulations and things of that nature. This is why in some parts of the world, this is why today in some parts of the world is New Year's Day. Do you understand that New Year's Day is April 1st is called April Fool's Day? Because those are some of the people in Europe, the French, that refuse to revert to the Gregorian calendar, the aforementioned Gregorian calendar. They say, nah, we ain't going to that. We ain't going to stick with this because we're going to go with nature and see how this is the beginning of spring. This will be the beginning of the year because God said this is when things start to bloom, and we're going to start the year now. But then people who are in charge of the world, they said no. If you can change the way God, if you get on paper, because you can't change it, then you can just call it something. You can start calling me Frank. I ain't going to answer, but you can still do it. But if enough people start calling me Frank, y'all know my man Big Illinois who come in. I just started calling him Aloysius one day. And there's people out here really believe his middle name Aloysius. He don't even have a middle name. But that's my point. If you tell a lie long enough and loud enough and passionately enough, it will become allegedly the truth. That don't make it the truth, but then people start believing it. And that's what your president is doing. See, we continue to allow people like our sister Jasmine Crockett, what's another, Reese Colvert, let me see, there's a lot of people, Sister Karen Hunter, Dr. Greg Carr, Mark Lamar Hill, Brother Clay Kane, Monique Presley, and other people stand up and say, hey man, we sick of this. And then we go, yeah, speak. No, we don't need to be speaking. We need to be taking action. We need to be following the Monique Presleys on Instagram, on Twitter, on whatever platform you choose to engage in on social media, and follow people like, I can see her face. I cannot think of her name. I'm sorry. When I think of your name, I'm going to say your name because you super dope. They just fired you from MSNBC. I can't think of your name, but yeah, Joy Reid. People listen to these people because, oh man, they ain't doing nothing. But you know what? I wasn't gonna say anything. But people like my man Tariq Nasheed. Oh man, they're voting, ain't nothing. Well, why ain't we heard from Tariq Nasheed since November? Boyce Watkins, why ain't we heard your name since November? Where all that yakety yak? with y'all at the crib, millionaires, and y'all aren't really caring about us. I told y'all, man, a lot of these people who got the money to escape from this madness, they are not in the fight. They watching the fight because they have the ability to get away. Hey, by the way, anybody heard of Ice Cube lately? No. See, working class people at that 5% off the top, that 5% off the bottom, we got 90% of us. If 90% of us start moving in the same direction, we might not even have to start rolling with some of these MAGA people because even they pissed off. Like Sister Courtney Singer said, the people in VA is like, homie, you gonna knock this off. Look, if we could come to some form of peace treaty and say, hey, yeah, I know you like dude, but you don't like your Social Security check being messed up. You don't like your mama's Medicaid being messed with. So we need to come together. The enemy of our enemy is our ally. Because y'all thought I was gonna say friend. They ain't our friends, and that's our problem. That's our problem. Because we think because I smile at you and I good brother you my friend. No. We started in the 60s. Bernie Sanders told us who he was and on the Breakfast Club. I hate that show, but you gotta watch. Sometimes you gotta watch things you don't like. I ain't watching Fox News even with a gun in my head. It's over. But you have to watch and listen to people. See, it's not all the time what people say. That's what they don't say. They ask them about reparations. You say, well, I don't know about all that. You don't know about all that. But your people, Mr. Sanders, your people got reparations. Your people got reparations. You weren't saying nothing about that. See, again, like Sister Courtney, she said she loves Bernie Sanders. I don't, because Bernie Sanders is a wolf. He's a fox in sheep clothing. See, like the great ancestor Malcolm X said, the wolf and the fox, they have the same agenda to get the sheep to eat lamb chops. If they have the same agenda, the wolf is going to growl at you and eat you. The fox is going to play with you till you get tired and he eats you. Either way, you are a lamb chop. We can't trust people. We can't trust people outside the community. At this point, I don't have a bone to pick with anybody. I talk to my community because I don't believe in this concept of race. Y'all believe in that foolishness. I don't. I believe in tribes. See, you got the European tribe, or you got the Germanic, and you got the French, and you got the Portuguese, and you got the Scottish, and you got the Polish, and so forth and so on. You got the African tribes comprised of 53 nations, which is probably 20. We got 2,800 different dialects, so it might even be 2,800 different tribes on the continent. And you got the South American tribes, and so forth and so on. You will gravitate towards your tribe and do what's best for your tribe, your nation, your crew. So I don't buy into this fictitious concept of race, black, white. Guess what? If you and I get on a plane today and press our hands together, because I ain't gonna say nothing, but you get on the plane today, and guess what's gonna happen? We go to France. Nobody over there calling themselves white. They're calling themselves French. We go to Portugal. Nobody's gonna say white. I'm from Portuguese. You go to Spain. They will say I'm a Spaniard. They are not going to say I'm white, but they all look what we categorize as white. So if you get up out of this social crayon box and start thinking about your tribe first, your family, like I always say, I got to worry about my family. Then I'm worry about my community. Then I'm worry about my city. Then I'm worry about my county. Then I'm worry about my state. Then I'm worry about the country. If we start doing these things, at that point, you might even find yourself across the aisle, walking lockstep with somebody who is diametrically opposed to you. They don't want to cause you any harm. They just don't agree with what you agree with. But as long as you can walk lockstep with them to a point, till you can get your thing squared away. We don't vote for power. We don't vote to discriminate. We don't vote to dominate. What we do is vote so we have the ability to create our own entities. And once we create our own entities, seeing how we're the largest population in the United States of America, the American-born descendant of Africans, because we are not descendants of slaves. Stop saying that. You are not a descendant of slaves. You are descendants of a prisoner of war. You're a descendant of a person who was humanly trafficked. You were forced into an indentured servitude that you had no idea that you were getting into. And guess what? You overcame. You prayed. You know, whatever your deity was, or whether it's Islam, whether it's Judaism, whether it's Christianity, whether it's Voldoom, because y'all don't realize that Voldoom is not as bad as you think it is, because you allow someone else to tell you that your spiritual connection with the Lord is bad, because they don't really understand your concept, and they don't understand that you are the creator of monotheology. And what is monotheology? The study of one God and one creator. And we're not going to get into that, because then that's a whole other episode. But one day I'm going to have that conversation. But this is what I'm going to do. This is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to do is this. I want you to, in the 1800s, the Republican Party gave reparations to black people. Yes, they did. And then guess what they did? Good old Andrew Jackson said, give me get that back. Let me get that back. But you're not going to get into that. Great conversation. Thank you. But what we're going to do is we're going to come together, because we're the largest population in the United States of America. As I always say, if it's 126 Mexican people in Mexico, there's 128 million people in Russia. If it's 86 million people in Germany, and it's 55 to 60 million people that look like you and I in the United States of America, please explain to me how we are a minority. We're not. How many people and how many instances that you focus on the minority? That means, we're only 13% of the population. Yeah, because you have lumped yourself into this fictitious state of white, which is not a thing. And we are what we are. And we are a thing. So what I want us to understand is this. If we come together and start moving for the better interest of our tribe, and shopping with our tribe, and stop following the instructions of the people who want to oppress our tribe, like, oh man, don't use no books no more. We're gonna use electronic books. No, but when they cut off the power, then what you gonna do? You ain't got nothing to read. I ain't gonna buy DVDs no more. We just gonna upgrade to them having total autonomy over what you consider entertainment. Anytime, look, as I say this, I say it time and time again. What we're gonna have to do is start moving in the direction of us. Download the 5 Cause app. And then you want to download Official Black Wall Street. And then you want to download Black. Then you want to go to targetblack.com. And targetblack.com is like a target for Black-owned businesses. And we're going to start, since people want to discriminate and not welcome us, what we're going to do is build our own infrastructure like we did in the 30s and the 40s and mid-50s. Integrations kicked us in the butt. W.B. Du Bois, you don't see, a lot of people think, hey man, you're a pretty smart guy, HRap. No, I just read a couple books and I transfer this stuff in the book and I give it to you. And I hope you go read those books. When you read those books, you'll understand that, hey, this is why they want to do away with Black history. Want to do away with Black history because if we start empowering ourselves, we start educating ourselves, we empower ourselves, then we will never be able to be held back. And then we start voting in gigantic blocks, and then we start putting the Monique Presley's in, and we start moving the ALC in, and then we get the other people, the Jasmine Crockett's in, and everybody else that are moving in our direction in, and then guess what? Rising tide lifts all boats. The beautiful thing about being Black in the United States of America, every time we've stood up and done something, we made the country better. So let's make America great. Not again. Great. Because when you look like me, it ain't been so. With that being said, the final point I'm going to make tonight is this. At some point, we're going to have to start making sure that these people, that somebody is going to be protecting our young sister, Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett is fighting with both hands and both feet. When you're fighting that hard, we need to make sure we stand up, get up, stand up for the rights. Don't give up the fight behind Jasmine Crockett and make sure she's protected, much like the deacons of defense and our great ancestor, great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Usually Friday, Y'all know I got another book for y'all Friday, so tap in every day. And Friday we call it Black Friday around here. And Black Friday, I give y'all books to read and then some movies to watch and a TV show to check out. Now, with that being said, I want you to tap into. I need you to subscribe. I need you to hit that like. I need you to continue to comment in the comment section. And by the way, let me make sure I get the number right. I usually don't tap into this, but you know what? Since Saturday, 16 people have subscribed. Shout out to those 16 people. I really appreciate you. And 900 people tapped in on the episode, the clips from today. I really appreciate y'all, man. I'm from Chicago. Y'all know how we do it. It is a wonderful way to communicate with you. I need you to hit that like, hit that share, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, to share and tell a friend. And then I need you to go to www.theendofthebench.com. I need you to go on there. Blah, 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 blah. I need you to do that. And then I need you to continue to support. And if you do that, and if you're really feeling generous, you can support that way. $sign at the end of the bench. I don't care if you send $1. I don't care if you send a dime. Help your man out. Y'all already know. Don't forget. Watch it to the end. Watch to the end. And y'all know I am HRap B. This is the End of the Bench Media. This is a few minutes with HRap. A few more minutes than I anticipated. I'm about 13 minutes over my budget. But even though 13 minutes over, salute to my man Big Mo. He's in the building. Always good to see you, my brother. I want y'all to understand. Stop paying. This is the only, I'm going to leave y'all with this. 2% at the top are super rich. 2% at the bottom are nefarious and ignorant and make humanity look bad. We're not going to concern ourselves with the top unless they come down. We're not going to concern ourselves with the bottom unless they come up. And then we're going to concern ourselves with that 95%. That 95% of us in the middle. You know what? I'm not even going to use my math. I'm going to use the most honorable Elijah Muhammad's 5. You got 5% of the people who are wicked and evil. You got 15% of the people that are wicked and evil and in charge. You got 5% taking over, and then you got the poor. And you got 85% of blind, deaf, and dumb, and we got the world is about ourselves, the four righteous teachers. We are the poor righteous teachers. Be one of the teachers and share and tell a friend to tap in. With that being said, I am at HRap B. This is the End of the Bench Media, and this is 2 fingers. Y'all know what this is, 2 fingers, 1 word, and
And it is necessary for those people who rule over us and who rule over African people the world over, if those people are to stay in power, they must destroy our ability to love each other in a healthy sort of way. This is why